Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Game From Scratch, and I have some great news if you are a Godot Engine user, because they just got some more funding, and that is always a good thing for open source projects like Godot or Blender, etc., because that's basically how they work, how they operate, how they pay the bills, as they are entirely open source and not for profit. So if you've never heard of it, Godot is an open source game engine. I covered it a lot on this game engine, but if you want to learn more, it's available at godotengine.org. As you can see, it's basically patron supported to the tune of just about $15,000 a month. But on top of that, they receive some commercial grants from other large companies, and those always help towards hiring new staff and so on. So today we announce a new grant, and that is from the company Kefir, not sure, a Russian company, so it could be pronounced very different ways. But I'm going to go with Kefir from now on. They just gave the Godot Engine a $120,000 grant. So we are delighted to announce that the game development studio Kefir is giving the Godot Engine project a US $120,000 grant to fund further development of the engine. Thank you, Kefir, for support of our free and open source game engine. So if you don't know, a grant is basically a one-time lump sum. Sometimes it's to do something very specific. So for example, recently Blender got a 2-year grant to add animation to the project. This one seems to be more of a generalized grant, just to, here's $120,000, make your product better, which, hey, they definitely can use that. They're known for hit survival games such as Last Day on Earth, Grim Soul, and Frostborn, which is hosted on Facebook, so I will not be clicking that link. They are not made with Godot. They are currently using Godot for internal prototyping, but are considering using it more in the future. A comment, somewhat confusing comment to be honest, from the business development officer at Kefir. Many thanks to the Godot team for their incredible contribution to game development. It's a great honor for us to provide a little help in this grand endeavor, and we are always ready to support powerful, cool, and unusual games and teams, regardless of their platforms, tools, and stages of development. That makes it sound more like they're a middleware maker, but anyways, nonetheless, all grants, sponsorships, and donations given to the not-for-profit Godot project. These funds are managed by the legal and fiscal sponsor Software Freedom Conservancy. Software Freedom Conservancy manage tons of open source projects. They basically provide like a legal entity over top of it. They manage the funds, they manage the legal side of things. It's pretty straightforward there. And it also provides a layer of transparency over how the funds are allocated and used, and will be used to accelerate development of our free and open source game engine. Such funding enables us to hire more contributors to work on the areas which need it most, as well as to renew the contracts for currently hired contractors, always with the guarantee that all the work done by contractors is under Godot's MIT license and beneficial to the community as a whole. We're thankful to all users and companies in the Godot community who take part in making this open source game engine, be it with code, documentation, user support, bug reports, or funding. So that is basically the announcement. In terms of what is a Kefir, actually no, one thing first, this is not the first time that the Godot Game Engine has received a grant. One of the ones you may most famously remember is that they received an Epic Mega Grant back, ironically enough, in February of last year. So it seems like February is a very good month for the Godot project. So about a month and a week later, so that was $250,000 back then. So this is hopefully going to, if these funds are starting to run out, kind of renew the pot a bit. So back to Kefir, what did they do? The two games they make are Last Day on Earth, survival horror game for App Store and Google Play. You can see more about it here. You can see kind of game in action down there. I actually swear I've seen a last play on this one. And then next up, we've got Grim Soul Survival, another survival style game, but this seems to be more medieval in scope and nature. So those are their two big games. You're going to notice there's a lot of things here for careers at Kefir. And then one other thing you may notice, if you go to their games category, and I can't figure this one out, maybe you guys can know the answer for me. So they show their two games, Last Day on Earth and Grim Soul, and they show Metro 2033. And that's confusing to me, because Metro 2033 is it's an established game from a different maker and a different publisher, so I don't know if this is a new version of its mobile title or something. It's not shown as a mobile title here, so I don't know what this is. So if you know what this game is, please do let me know, because Metro 2033 is a very different thing to me. In terms of what Kefir is all about, well, they're based out of Volgograd, St. Petersburg, and Moscow. They are hiring, and this is kind of interesting because you're going to see in terms of what they're hiring for, they currently seem to use Unity 3D. So I'm guessing that both of those game engines were for Unity, created using Unity 3D. But as I mentioned earlier on, again, here they're also hiring a Unity developer, but they're looking at using it in-house. So that's definitely worthwhile. Also, you'll see here they've got 250 million players for their game, so they do seem to be quite successful in this regard. It's just even more confusing when you go to the blog section of this site, and then you're going to see here, year after year, the list of awesome game development competitions keeps growing, mostly due to Unreal Engine. So they're hiring for Unity, they're funding the Godot Game Engine, but as you can see here, participating in the WN Dev contest is a great opportunity to meet up with like-minded people, finally finish your prototype, or even win our grant of $200,000. So they use Unity, they prototype with Godot, they gave Godot a grant, but they also give grants out to Unity contests. Or sorry, Unreal Engine contests. I am really confused about this company. And then on top of that, Metro 2033, the entry, if you go for video games in Wikipedia, you'll see this one is published by THQ and Deep Silver and was developed by 4A Games, and no Kefir. So it's got to be a mobile title or something. I don't know what's going on there. I'm really confused. But it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, the ultimate story here is this part, that the Godot Game Engine is now receiving a $120,000 grant. That is excellent. It's going to help, either keep the current staff there employed and paid, so we'll keep seeing great things happen, or potentially we could see new people being hired on, new features coming soon, and so on. This could all be just beneficial because the Godot 4.0 release is a huge thing, and the more people they've got, the better it can potentially be. So you know what, win-win all around. Have you heard of the Kefir Studios? Do you know the answer to the Metro 2033 thing? Let me know what you think. Also, what you think of the Godot engine in general. That's it. Comments down below. Talk to you all later. Goodbye.